Secretary to the Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, you know how fond I am of a story, so let me tell you another story about my father. My father owned a pizza store, and he worked 16 to 18 hours a day, Mr. Speaker. I can tell you what my father would not have done if he saw somebody stealing from his cash register. He would not have said, "You're suspended, but make sure you come back every 2 weeks and collect a paycheck." I tell you what he would have said. He would have said, "You're fired, leave," and he would have called the police. That's the standard my father expected. That's the standard we expect on this side of the House, and that's the standard that Canadians expect. It's only the Liberals who expect a different standard. Just to conclude that story, Mr. Speaker, we also had a driver, Eugene. He was a Philippine immigrant, and he used to deliver pizzas. Part of his agreement was that he would provide receipts for gas, Mr. Speaker. Now, could he have provided extra receipts? He could have, but he didn't, Mr. Speaker. He was honorable. That's the standard that we should expect from our senators. If we can expect it from a guy who delivers pizza, we certainly should be able to expect it from senators. Only Liberals and NDP are trying to make victims out of these senators who stole from the Canadian people, Mr. Speaker. We'll stand up for taxpayers every day. Well, Mr. Speaker, this would be a good time to give another story. I know how fond the House is about stories. Now, Mr. Speaker, I have two daughters, a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old, two beautiful girls, Natalie and Olivia, and each week I give them an allowance, Mr. Speaker. Part of that allowance might be for cleaning their room. Now, both Natalie and Olivia know that sometimes their mother might clean their room. They both know that they shouldn't come and ask for an allowance because they didn't actually do the work, Mr. Speaker. If my 5-year-old and 7-year-old can figure this out, how is it that these senators can't figure it out? And how is it that the opposition supports that type of activity from our senators? The Prime Minister has been very clear. He wants this motion in the Senate to pass. The Prime Minister has been very clear. If you have an expense to which you did not incur, you should repay that expense. The Prime Minister has been very clear. If you don't make that right, you will not be sitting in the Conservative caucus, Mr. Speaker. Again, we've been very clear on this, and the Prime Minister has been very, very clear on this matter. The Prime Minister has been very, very clear. He's been very clear on this matter. He made it very clear. He's made it very, very clear. Speaker, what are we talking about here? We're actually talking about the fact that the Liberals and the NDP, they don't want to actually talk about, all of the things that we are doing with respect to moving the economy forward, Mr. Speaker. They don't want to talk about creating jobs. They don't want to talk about opportunity. They don't want to talk about free trade because they know on every single issue that matters, we are on the right track, Mr. Speaker. They don't want to talk about the fact that we've created over 1 million jobs, Mr. Speaker. They'll talk about everything. We're not talking about $1 billion boondoggle for gas plants. We're not talking about unpaid legal leadership debts. We're talking about the fact that this Prime Minister stands up for taxpayers.